What's going on, folks? I know there's a lot of shit going on in the world right now, but it just keeps getting more out of control by the day. These people are out of control, and no one has to take responsibility for it. Nobody. No one is being held accountable. Burn down businesses, burn down restaurants, beat people up. Nobody's responsible. Well, I know if that was me or anyone I know, we'd be going to prison. They'd be at our doorstep immediately. I posted a video last month and FBI is knocking on my door at 10 o'clock in the morning after Mother's Day. I mean, come on, people. This is a fact. What if I was to told you a month ago that this was going to be happening? Y'all have said I was crazy. What if I tell you that these are the darkest times we've ever faced in the history of the world? Would you believe that? Well, most of you probably would, because you know I don't bullshit. And I'm not going to tell you anything that I don't believe and know 100%. Well, these are some of the darkest times we've ever faced. But the dark times are almost here. Our country is about to fall down, and people are still sitting at home on their shoulders. Put out a call to arms 2 days ago, and not one single person responded to me that could actually help. I'm not mad at nobody that can't get here, that's fine. Not one person. Nobody. I don't understand that. So, it was me and 5 of my brothers from Fort Worth. That's it. Think about that. Doesn't give much hope, does it? I ain't gonna get into all the details, but if I can't even get 20 people to show up to help me fight off these bastards here, what does that say about all of us as a whole in the rest of the country? What does it take? Because at this point, I don't really know. I mean, it's going to get worse, but the thing is who's it going to get worse for? White people? Hispanics? Black people? No, it's going to get bad for all of us because of these ignorant fucking kids that should have had their asses whooped 15 years ago. But their parents need their asses whooped too. It's amazing. But this is what we're in store for. This is the future that you got coming if we don't do something right now. You understand? Just watch. Is this what you want for our kids and our grandkids? I'll be damned if this is what I leave for mine. If I gotta fight the whole fucking world by myself, I will. I won't make it long, but at least my kids will know that I did something. Because I do not like the way that this is going. But I can't fight all these people by myself. I gotta fight the post office too. Good times. Y'all enjoy the video and think about it real hard. Let that resonate with you. Love y'all. Gotta go.
7 lanes have been shut down, and as you have seen, it is I'm going to stand up and walk over to the television monitor here so I can see it a little closer. But again, we're counting 7 different lanes, and right now they're not going anywhere. The only person who is going anywhere is our intrepid Doug Richards, who is now making his way onto the freeway. Last time we saw you, Doug, you were below it. Why don't you tell us where you are now?
All right. Hey, Jeff. It turns out we're on the shoulder of Interstate I-75 and 85 now. Over in the distance, you will see folks who are blocking the highway. As Crash Clark, I think, said, 7 lanes of highway. And and what's interesting is that there was an organizational element, Jeff, to answer your question, where they asked the folks they asked the white people who were part of the protest to go up on the highway and to be at the front of the protest. And as we go up here, we see that most of what I see anyway is that most of the folks who are blocking the highway are white folks. And the thinking behind that was by the organizers that the police would be less likely to confront white people than they would if black people did block the highway. So
how diverse, Doug, can you hear me?
And it seems to be working.
How diverse is the group of protesters tonight?
I was looking at that earlier. I would say it's probably 80% black folks, but there are hundreds of white people here. So, and they're enthusiastic and they want to help. And so when they were called upon to be in the front, not all of them went, but there are enough of them out there now to block the highway.
And
and most of those, yes.
My other question for you is,
the majority of folks out there are white.
As I take a look at these pictures, Doug, what sort of law enforcement presence do you see? We see a number of APD lights that are flashing, at least in the pictures that we're seeing here at 11 Alive and that viewers are seeing right now. But on the ground, what sort of law enforcement presence are you seeing? And I'm going to ask you to compare and contrast to what you've seen over the course of the last week and 2 weeks, if you would.
Well, mostly it's been Atlanta police that I've seen here. On the highway, it's Georgia State Patrol and some other state police. But the few, there really haven't been that many police officers in the neighborhood. Most of them have been blocking the highway, and you see a lot of state police blocking the highway. You also see military trucks blocking the highway. It appears that either the National Guard made a return visit, or some police agencies that have military trucks were also called in to help block the access points to the interstate. So,
Doug,
anyway,
I have a couple of questions for you.
Mostly Atlanta police, though, until you get onto the highway, and then you see state police.
And Doug, I'm seeing some reports on social media. I don't know from your vantage point what you can and can't see, but have you seen officers make any arrests at all since you've been there?
I haven't seen any arrests. We saw the confrontation that we talked about a little while ago, where some, smoke bombs were exploded and some bottles were thrown. I didn't see any arrests. There may have been one, but I didn't see any. I haven't seen any arrests. For the most part, the police are being very restrained. I mean, the fact that they haven't opened the highways and don't appear to be making a move to open the highways, I think is a good gauge of the restraint they're showing at this point.
Right, and we've seen the military vehicles move in onto the interstate there. Have you seen any of the National Guardsmen walk out of those vehicles and get into formation or anything of that sort?
No, the police formations have been pretty haphazard, I think. There hasn't been any sort of like Oh, wait a minute. Well, here we go now. Now a MARTA bus is unloading what appear to be riot-clad What are those? Those appear to be those Atlanta police officers.
Yeah, from what we're
those are
seeing
Atlanta
here,
police officers.
we're seeing officers in what looks like riot gear getting out of that MARTA bus right now. Lots of them.
Yeah, they're coming off of a MARTA bus. They are facing in the wrong direction on the northbound lanes of I-75. There are probably about 60 of them there, and it's unclear where they are going.
How are protesters reacting to them coming out off of that bus?
Actually, the highway is not being blocked on the side of the road that they are on, which is the northbound side. In order for those folks to be effective against this blockade, they will need to cross this berm here and get on.
We did apply for a grant from Soros at one point, just a long time ago. We actually did get a grant from them. There is going to be a need for thousands of people and then millions to come into the streets.
We're trying to meet with Tom Steyer. We've been talking to his assistant. We're meeting with his main advisor on impeachment. I think he has political ambitions that he may actually want to not be directly connected. In Los Angeles, San Francisco, New York, this at a certain point dominates the national news. So it's a very disruptive force.
Last week, we released video of New York Antifa-like group Refuse Fa, short for Refuse Fascism, training people how to poke people's eyes out and reframing assault as self-defense.
Yeah, so if that doesn't knock them out, then yeah, the nose, the eye, poke the eyes with the other. Absolutely. We just kind of want to, in the space, reframe the idea of self-defense as not simply you're being acted upon by an aggressor, but it's a kind of a decision you make to fight back. In a lot of ways to say, I'm human and I occupy this space and I'll be not.
Now today, we unmask undercover footage of their national organizer, the national organizer for Refuse Fascism, and we release footage that suggests who might even be funding their militant operation.
Ultimate vision is for people to break with their comfort and come into the streets day after day, night after night, in the hundreds of thousands until the millions, and not leave until they have to step down. The thing about this is that we see that this is not going to happen through normal channels because we are living in abnormal times. And the way we see this is that there is going to be a need for thousands of people and then millions to come into the streets and demand that the Trump-Pence regime must go. We did apply for a grant from Soros at one point, just a long time ago, when I was doing more abortion rights and defending clinics. We actually did get a grant from them around, we started a thing called the National Day of Appreciation for Abortion Providers. Contributing money is a huge, look, we are not going to reach millions without millions. That's just straight up. We are not going to do it. We need millions of dollars to reach millions of people. You know, if you can get a meeting with either one of those, Sarah Taylor or Andy Z, it would be a very important experience in your life.
We're trying to meet with Tom Steyer.
And what?
Right now, I don't know if we took the meeting today. We're meeting with his main advisor on impeachment. They kind of, I don't know who that is. Is somebody?
That's kind of a big deal. I mean,
We're meeting. We've been talking to his assistant. He first said he was going to meet, then he got busy. He made the announcement. Tom Steyer's been retweeting some of our stuff.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised if he's going to want to. I think he has. This is only me speaking based on reading newspapers from New York. I think he has political ambitions.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's always been the rumor he's going to run
Right.
for governor.
That he may actually want to not be directly connected.
It's not just Soros and Steyer who may have interest in groups like Refuse FA and Antifa. It's also our friends in Silicon Valley.
I'm going to be meeting with the person who's donated. His money's not part of the 80,000, but he's donated over 50,000. We have other people who donated 10,000. So actually, you're not first, but you're not first, but you are first. And that if we could have right now $15,000, which is not very much money extra, this $15,000, what I've learned on this tour is we should have 3 of these tours going out to campuses right now. I met with the Electronic Frontier Foundation. I think you're familiar with them. They're the main people for fighting on net neutrality and all this stuff.
The Frontier what?
The Electronic Frontier Foundation.
Okay.
It's the main organization that fights for internet privacy, net neutrality. It's a major organization. I met with them. They're in San Francisco, headquartered in San Francisco. And they're going to help us get connected.
Our cities are on fire. With riots in the streets and elections at stake, everything seems so organized. It's not a surprise that presidential campaigns might get involved.
P.Z. Myers, Cornel West, Arturo O'Farrell, I mean, these are major figures in the arts and sciences who are definitely not revolutionaries, okay? And you'll see there's people, Hillary campaign people work with these fascists, you know, because they see the danger. You have to create a kind of demand from below.
For what?
The kind of demand from below that the Trump-Pence regime must go, where there's
the abolition.
Yeah, where there's the kind of situation that did exist in South Korea, where the society itself is both a serious crisis in that, just imagine if, let's put millions aside for a second, that there was 10 to 50,000 people demonstrating in those 5 cities, which if they were demonstrating there, I can tell you from history, it would be spreading like wildfire from storm. That number of people who were protesting, you know, at first maybe every week and then every 3 days and then every other day, where people were coming after work and the streets were flooded every night from 5 o'clock till 1 o'clock in the morning, and there was probably among younger people there'd be a few thousand who stayed overnight. And this was happening in Los Angeles, San Francisco, New York. This at a certain point dominates the national news. This is just, cities are in a certain sense non-violent demonstrations, but that's still a very disruptive force. That has international repercussions. Look at what's happening in the U.S.